Tonight's video was supposed to be an interview with Peter V. Brett, author of The Warded Man and The Demon Cycle. However, there were some issues with the scheduling. Instead, the interview will be happening next week, and the video will be going up then. So, this is your last chance to submit any questions that you'd like Mr. Brett to answer. Comment below if you have anything you'd like to hear. Hello everyone, welcome to the Book Cafe, where we review books, talk fantasy, and interview authors. If you're new here, consider subscribing, and if you're a veteran, welcome back. You know, young adult fiction kind of gets a bad rap sometimes. It's stereotyped as being too obsessed with love triangles, kind of superficial, and overall people think it tends to miss the point of what it's talking about. A lot of the blame for that can be put on Twilight, and maybe a little bit on the Hunger Games, though to be fair, that wasn't the original intent of the Hunger Games. But when it comes to talking about the young adult genre, there's a couple of things to think about. The stereotypes aren't the truth, and even if they were, there's a reason why people like them. That said, the book that I'm about to review is stereotypically bad young adult fiction. I kept hearing people talk about how much they loved it and how it was the best book they'd ever read. It wasn't until I went on Goodreads that I finally realized that, no, I'm not the only one who didn't like this. So today I'm going to be giving a dissenting opinion on The Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. To start with, let's just appreciate the cover design for a moment, because these are really good covers, and I think the artist deserves some appreciation. And just look at that. Does that not make you want to buy this book? Because it certainly made me. The setting of the book is that your basic evil empire type deal has taken over a continent and declared magic to be illegal. This is unfortunate because there are a great number of creatures who are either made of magic or require it to survive. Thus, their very existence is illegal. Simply by living, they become outlaws. The novel is the story of Celaena Sardothien, which is such a cool name. She's reportedly the greatest assassin in the world, until she was captured and sent to the salt mines. However, the king needs a new champion, and she's one of the candidates who's been tapped for the job. As such, she gets pulled out of the mines and entered into a contest to become the new champion of the throne. It's a battle to the death, but not of outright combat. Contestants have to display watchfulness, sneakiness, and skill at survival in a court full of assassins, as well as enough social and political savvy to blend into the affairs of the court. The problem is that Celaena displays none of these. Despite being the so-called greatest assassin in the world, living in a castle with the people who killed her family, and spending her days around people who intend to kill her and make no effort to hide that, Celaena Sardothien is painfully naive. Celaena barely attempts to protect herself. She sleeps with the door unlocked, people wander into and out of her room constantly while she's asleep and she doesn't wake up. A box of candy is left for her by an anonymous person, and she doesn't even think to check for poison before scarfing the whole thing down. But the real annoyance of this novel, and this series, is how little of it is based around the actual premise. Essentially, if you read the flap cover, what you're getting is false advertising. The book that they describe is not the book you're paying for, nor is it the book that Maas wrote. Instead, what you're getting is an oddly marketed romance novel, which would be fine if the author knew how to write romance. If you've seen TV shows like The Office or Castle, you know that a show predicated on the idea of will they or won't they when it comes to two romantic leads can have some difficulty keeping audience interest once the leads get together. It's a tricky problem and not everyone handles it well. Some people manage to pull it off, but it requires a lot of skill. The Throne of Glass displays none of that skill. Instead, the main character and her love interest get together midway through the first book and then split up at the end for vaguely defined reasons. The love triangle is barely developed, and things in the romantic storyline just sort of happen without a rhyme or reason to them. The biggest problem behind this series is that there isn't really a narrative arc. There's something that acts like it might be a narrative arc, but it's just generally not well thought out. To editorialize a description that I read of this, The Throne of Glass is advertised like a more hardcore version of the Hunger Games. And then when you open it up, you find instead that what you've gotten is a version of Cinderella who's painfully unaware that people keep trying to kill her. You wonder how exactly Sardothien got the title of Best Assassin in the World when she's this bad at it. I read 2 books in the series because I thought I was going to enjoy it. But by the time I reached the end of the second book, I realized that not only did I want to read the third, I didn't even want to read the preview chapter at the end of the second book. I had so much difficulty caring about this series that I actually forgot that I'd read them until today. The writing isn't great, the characters are kinda eh, The setting is cool, but I don't think it's used well. Overall, where I rate this book on the thermometer is do not pick up. I mean, if you really want to check it out, maybe borrow it, but... Anyway, a lot of people really love this book. A lot of people really hated it. There doesn't seem to be an in-between. If you've read Throne of Glass or any of the rest of the series, tell me what you thought in the comments below. Or just suggest another book that you think I should review. Remember to like this video and click on the dragon to subscribe, or just watch more videos like this from the Book Cafe. Now, the Brighton review is next week, but I promise it's coming, so if you still have any questions, remember to leave them in the comments below. I will see everyone on Tuesday, and until then, read good fantasy